Okay, using I and me correctly. It's going to be a quick little lesson just to kind of reiterate what we've already been talking about in class. So let's just give a question presented on our ACT mini test. She made my siblings and I scarves for the winter. Is the answer no change? And that's correct. Should it be my siblings, comma, and I? Well, obviously no. Should it be my siblings and me, or should it be me and my siblings? Well, we decided in class that the other person always goes first, so we know D is incorrect. We know there would never be a comma that follows my siblings, because my siblings and I, the and coordinating conjunction here, is connecting my siblings and I. So we know it can't be B. So what we have to decide is I being used correctly, or should we use me in that case? Well, the correct answer is C. This sentence should read, she made my siblings and me scarves for the winter. Oh my gosh, why? It sounds kooky. It may sound different, but it's only because people do not use it correctly most of the time. So we're going to talk about I and me as pronouns. I is a nominative pronoun, which means you can only use it as a subject, ever. Me is an objective pronoun. You can only use it as an object. So obviously you would say, I want cookies. You wouldn't say, me want cookies, because that's something that only Cookie Monster would say. So real world application here in a more kind of complex, instead of just the subject using I want cookies or me want cookies, we're going to put it in a real world application where we have combination with other people. So Billy and I are going to Tanya's party. We know that's correct. Billy and I are going to Tanya's party. Tanya asked Billy and I to go to her party. Well, that's what most people say, but it is incorrect. This should be, Tanya asked Billy and me to go to her party. So how can I remember this? Here are your rules. So in order to determine if it should be, Tanya asked Billy and me to go to her party or not, then you're going to do one of these three things. Any of these three things will help you get the correct answer, which is me. All right. You're going to take out the other person. Tanya asked me to go to her party. You wouldn't say Tanya asked I to go to her party. So you know that me is correct for that reason. Number 2, find the subject and verb. If the I or me isn't in the subject, then you use me. So Tanya asked. Tanya is the subject and asked is the verb. Tanya asked who? Billy and me. So we know that Billy and me are objects. Okay, so me has to be used. And number 3, does it come before or after the verb? If it comes before the verb, use I. If it comes after the verb, use me. This is not 100% of the time correct, but it is like 99 point something percent of the time correct. So it would be a good one to default to if you can't remember either of the other two. All right, so we're going to practice. For these 5 sentences, I've included the use of I in each sentence. So you're only going to change it if the rules indicate a need for the change. So number 1, Donnie and I bought a dog together. So we could look back at our rules and say, find the subject and the verb. If I is being used as a subject, okay, Donnie and I are the subject. It's a compound subject. Who bought the dog together? Donnie and I. So we know that's the subject. So we know number 1 is correct. Number 2, although my mother was angry, she still bought my brother and I an ice cream. Okay, so here, this one's more complex. My mother was angry. So, and it begins with although, which is a subordinating conjunction. So we know this is a dependent clause, but every clause has its own subject and verb. So if we're applying the subject and verb rule, finding the subject and verb, then that's the subject and verb in that clause. But then we see another subject. She still bought. So we know here's the subject and the verb of this independent clause. So we know that it should read my brother and me because it's not the subject. If it's not being used as the subject, does it have a verb following it? No. So I is being used as an object. So this one is incorrect. Number 2 is incorrect and should use me in the place of an I. So the sentence should read, although my mother was angry, she still bought my brother and me an ice cream. If we take the other person out, she still bought me an ice cream. Okay? Number 3, Nancy looked at the mountain and realized that she and I could climb it easily. Nancy looked at the what? Mountain. She also realized when she looked. So that verb right there belongs with Nancy. That begins a new clause. She and I could climb. So she and I is being used as the subject for could climb. Who could climb it easy? She and I could climb it easily. So if we take the other person out, I could climb it easily. All right. Number 4, Mandy told them that Thomas and I would have to wait at the house for them. Mandy told them, subject, verb, direct object. That is a relative pronoun. Thomas and I would have to wait at the house for them. Take the other person out. I would have to wait at the house for them. So this one is also correct. Number 5, Jonathan booked a massage for Mama and I. For who? We know that for is a preposition. So Mama and I are being used as a compound object of the preposition. So Jonathan booked a massage for I? No, it would read Jonathan booked a massage for me.